So now, I'd like you all to just sit back and relax, hang on to your hats, and let the show begin!
Welcome to the Weekly Dairantou. The rules are simple. I pick 3 shows connected by a theme. I watch the first episode of each show, and then pit them against each other in a battle. There can be only one winner. The winner is the show that I'd be most likely to continue watching. This week, our theme is Marvel Comics. In the 2010s, Marvel worked alongside Sony and Madhouse to create anime versions of their properties. Our shows are Iron Man, Wolverine, and X-Men. These shows were all created by Madhouse Studios, and their original concepts were penned by writer Warren Ellis. They're available in a Marvel anime box set, which I proudly own as part of my collection. Without further ado, get ready for the next battle! Iron Man. I must say, with this intro sequence, this show is off to a flying start. If any Marvel property is going to work as an anime, it's going to be Iron Man, right? Because he's Robot Man. Japan does Robot Men. How can it fail? After this opening sequence set to some lovely hard rock, Iron Man begins with the man behind the titular superhero, Tony Stark, flying to Japan on his personal plane. The jackass almost knocks a passenger plane out of the sky with his antics. Stark is voiced by USA actor Adrian Pasdar, Nathan Petrelli in Heroes, who often fulfills the role in TV, video games, and animated adaptations. The voice takes a while to get used to, but I guess he pulls off the asshole rich womanizer pretty well.
I'm sorry. I just didn't expect the head of Lab 23 and my right-hand man in Japan to be a woman, and such a pretty one at that.
What a misogynist.
You know, I don't get turned down a lot. I kinda like it.
I don't get turned down a lot. Now get on your knees and suck my cock. I'm Iron Man! Stark is on his way to install a new energy reactor, the Arc Station, in Japan. The new reactor will allow for unlimited energy for all of the people in Japan for free. The billionaire playboy is also using this opportunity to pass on the Iron Man torch to the next generation. With mass-produced Iron Man units called, and you won't believe me when I say it, Iron Man Dio.
But I wouldn't worry too much, Minister. Dio, my new Iron Man...
Dio!
...is ready for mass production.
You thought it was Iron Man, but it was me! Dio! This voice is horrible. I'm sorry, it just is. Coming from Madhouse, it's no surprise the animation, art, and everything really is top-notch. Except for the 3D. Though the hand-drawn stuff is great, the 3D on the suits is jarring. I've always found this to be the case with 3D in anime, and I think right now we're still a good decade away from 3D looking good alongside hand-drawn animation. It's very apparent that this anime was created in 2010, as it features really off-putting 3D of poor quality in my humble opinion. Sound design is pretty solid, and the background music builds tension nicely. Oh, he's putting on the suit! The first episode features a great degree of intrigue and mystery. Is there truly no catch to the new reactor that Stark is installing? What is the real purpose of the Iron Man Dio suits? And who are the mysterious individuals in suits of their own who stop Tony Stark from recovering the haywire Dio suit? Iron Man has an interesting and suspenseful first episode. The story doesn't seem to be up to much, but it could just be the writing style of Warren Ellis. Given time, the series could bloom into something truly wonderful. But in this competition, it all boils down to the show that has the biggest draw in that first episode. And with its ploddy pacing, things aren't looking good for Iron Man.
But you're just a knockoff. There's only one Iron Man.
He said the name of the show! Wolverine. Wolverine begins with a cold open showing the New York City skyline. A boat in the middle of the ocean. Oh, not quite. I'm expecting them to pull up a giant chest saying Dio, and the whole thing's gonna start over again. From aboard a yacht, Wolverine and his fiancée Mariko enjoy a quiet, tender moment. She's probably gonna die. I must say, Logan, you have excellent taste in women. Or get kidnapped. The piece is shattered by an onslaught from jetpack-wearing scuba divers, of course. The mutilated Wolverine fully recovers from gunfire to the face and slices away the attackers, but his fiancée disappears. Boom! Hard rock opening theme blasts into your ears, bringing me Trigun vibes. And speaking of sound on point, Wolverine is voiced by Milo, and I'm gonna say this wrong, Milo Ventimiglia. Milo Ventimiglia? It seems rather poetic that Wolverine is portrayed by the actor who played Peter Petrelli in Heroes, making the Iron Man and Wolverine anime sort of like spiritual brothers. Things aren't looking good for this stereotypical random cop man we've just been introduced to. The thugs he's up against have super suits and technology that make metal things explode. Thankfully, Wolverine is around to break up the fight. I appreciate the blood and carnage considering that Iron Man was really light on this by comparison. Oh yes! Oh, that's more like it. Not much, but we saw some blood! Yeah! Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Ho 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 ho! The copper is Teshin Asano, voiced by Crispin Freeman, Alucard in Hellsing. He's an ally of Wolverine and a kick-ass fella. Catching up over a cold one, Asano tells Wolverine that his missing fiancée was spotted in Japan, taken by the Japanese Yakuza. The leader, Shingen, is the father of Mariko, and is forcing her to get married to a sleazeball by the name of Hideki Kurahagi to further their criminal goals. Wolverine heads to Tokyo to confront the Yakuza boss, Shingen, and a fight ensues. The battle comes to an end when Wolverine is shot with a tranquilizer dart. Who knows where this crazy story will go next? Will Wolverine get his fiancée back? With animation and art this fantastic, a strong soundtrack and some great voice talent, this show has a good chance of getting crowned the winner. However, we've yet to see our third contender. It's turned out way better than I expected anyway. X-Men. X-Men begins with a recap of some events that happened prior to the story of the series. Cyclops, Storm, Beast, and Wolverine are trying to save their best friend. The gifted mutant, Jean Grey, is consumed by an evil power called the Phoenix Force and becomes Phoenix, born anew as a flaming ball of destruction. The X-Men attempt to save her, but it ends in failure. The X-Men are disbanded, but ready to receive the call of justice when it comes. This first episode serves to bring the X-Men together after the tragedy, showing what they got up to in the meantime, and giving us a starting point for the story. The opening theme and animation are basic, but in no way terrible. It's just this Danny Elfman sounding score. That isn't what springs to mind when I think of the X-Men. I think of Rising, the original Japanese opening song for the X-Men 80s series. But with the power of editing, we can fix this. After the opening credits, Professor Xavier gets all exposition heavy in a monologue sequence. He's unmistakably voiced by the great Cam Clarke.
I thought it would be a safe haven for the...
Yes, it fucking is! It's Cam Clarke! It doesn't ruin the show, no. It enhances the show massively. It's just I can't stop thinking of Liquid Snake. Snake, you cheated not only the game but yourself. You achieved a hollow victory. Xavier is lamenting the closure of his academy and the death of Jean, and falls asleep in his hovering futuristic wheelchair. He's an old man who has trouble staying awake. We've either all been there, or are going to be there. In the next scene, we see a young Japanese girl running away from shadowy figures in a snowy Japanese forest. Did I turn on a hentai by mistake? Oh wait, no, this is part of X-Men. She is attacked and captured. She must be important somehow, because when Xavier hears about this, he immediately reassembles the X-Men to investigate it. This leads to some funny scenarios where we see Storm, Beast, Wolverine and Cyclops getting the call to action at the most inopportune of times. Storm is enjoying a cruise, Beast is teaching at a swanky university, and Wolverine is about to go on holiday. Too bad he's stopped by airport security.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants. Okay, now you've seen him. We good?
And Cyclops, he's not responding. The X-Men are informed that the missing teenage girl is Hisako Ichiki, indeed a mutant. The police who investigated her disappearance were killed, and it's all a bit of a mess. If someone's powerful enough to capture a mutant, they might just be super dangerous. And whoever it was has jammed Xavier's super MacGuffin computer and made him unable to see what's going on in Japan. Something strange is afoot. Meanwhile, Cyclops is being a little bit of an emo soggy pants, so Storm and Wolverine go to bring him back to his senses. Gee, he's acting like his girlfriend turned into a sun and exploded. Oh wait, she did. But this show really doesn't resemble, like, traditional Japanese anime in the same way that the Wolverine show and the Iron Man show did. The issue with covering three very similar shows, birthed from the mind of the same writer, is that it's very hard to describe one without describing the other two. For my own future reference, it makes more sense to tackle three far more different shows for the Weekly Dairantou in the future. These three anime are like reskins of each other. They have the same appearance, the same sound design, and the same distinct writing style. And none of them really feel like anime, with the exception of Wolverine, where it spends enough time in a believable looking Japanese house and garden, resembling something out of the Tenchu games. In terms of character likability, Tony Stark is so far down the list that he's in negative points. The guy is horrendous. He can't be in a scene alone with a female character for more than a few moments before he's trying to get down their throat.
Does Tony Stark close his eyes when he kisses? I'll get out here before you take another swing at me.
The guy needs to be put on a goddamn leash. The X-Men anime has characters that fare better, but only slightly. Xavier doesn't seem all that likable, though I can certainly empathize with him over all the nightmares he keeps having. The various X-Men themselves seem to have their own quirks, but I don't feel a connection to any of them. Beast seems like he believes himself to be above everyone. Storm comes across as a nagging party pooper. Wolverine is a wisecracking asshole, and Cyclops is just an absolute buzzkill. These are not the folks you'd want to invite to laser tag. The Wolverine anime fares best in this regard. The main characters, Logan and Asano, are really likable, they're just down to earth. This version of the Wolverine character has the occasional wisecrack, but he doesn't have time to fire off a string of jabs at his friends because he's too busy trying to stop his fiancée Mariko's arranged marriage. He really comes off as someone you can relate to, an everyday guy who just so happens to have claws in his hands and accelerated healing powers and battles Japanese criminals. The animation in Wolverine certainly comes off as the most competent. The fight scene with Shingen in the house is stunning. I appreciate that the Wolverine anime doesn't skimp on blood, showing us a more violent Wolverine and one that comes across way cooler than the Wolverine in X-Men. Where the Iron Man anime has the upper hand is in its color use. Scenes with bright blue skies and some really wide open areas. Color grading is a little worse with Wolverine, but I appreciate the bright red nature of Wolverine's jacket in the darker scenes, like he carries around all the blood he has shed in the color of his jacket. The X-Men anime has the dullest use of color. Combined with its really westernized look, it just comes across as dull and washed out. Compared to the other two, there's really little here that visually stands out to me. It might improve as the series carries on, but that isn't what this show is about. It's about the first episode, and only one of these shows can be the winner. In terms of voice acting, Iron Man has a stronger cast, but I'm really not feeling Iron Man himself. Granted that this is the official and regular Iron Man from the video games, cartoons and straight-to-video stuff, and he sounds like an asshole, and that works given his character. Wolverine in Wolverine, he really sounds like your typical shonen lead. A stunning result for picking an American TV actor who hasn't done a lot of voice work for animation, at least compared to the others. I think I'm ready to give my verdict.
This game's winner is
Wolverine. It's got everything you'd want. Badass music, a classic story of the outsider trying to take on the entire Yakuza. It's got blood. It's got a cute damsel to save. This is a kick-ass, studly and dangerous Wolverine that doesn't ape on our existing ideas of what Wolverine should sound or look like. Wolverine ticks my boxes, and is absolutely the show I would be most likely to continue watching out of this week's combatants. Wolverine is the solid winner. I think for future episodes, we'll make sure to pick more distinct shows. In some ways, these 3 episodes felt like 3 episodes of the same show. The important thing about the pilot episode is testing the format and seeing what works and what doesn't. Any and all feedback and criticism is greatly appreciated, and I implore you to share your thoughts about this episode in the comments. This has been ReelAsia. You've been watching the Weekly Dairantou, and I'll see you next time.